I am upcycling this curtain and some strips of denim into a skirt. Here I'm just fitting the skirt to make sure I place it where I want and figure out the overlap for the denim. Then I am just ironing everything because it was folded in my tote bag, and I want to make sure everything is flat before I start pinning and stitching. I started pinning the denim to the inside of the curtain and then was folding over and realized that's not how I wanted the top stitch to look, so I put the denim on the outside and then folded in so I could fold underneath the remnants of the denim. Here I start stitching from the inside, so I have 2 lines going, and anything I'm doing in my lap I'm just cutting off the excess thread. So this is to secure. I could have hand basted this as well, but it's a little bit faster doing it with the machine. And then again I'm just cutting, and then once I do both sides I will then fold over the denim and then again go in with 2 rows of stitching. Quick ironing break, which unfortunately you can't see, but just to again flatten out the inside before I do the final stitching to fold over the denim, which I'm doing here. And there's going to be some excess denim at the bottom, which I just fold over again and stitch over. I think at this point I'm realizing that some of the denim is a little shorter than I want it to be, so I'm seeing that it's a little bit uneven. And I don't know that I peek through. I try to, yeah, a couple of times. So I will be unstitching that, which took forever with the seam ripper to make it even. So again, here I started ripping the seams, and this probably took me an hour to do both sides. And then once I had gone up high enough, I start pinning it down. I hand basted with a white thread just so it's a contrasting color because I was using denim and navy thread. And that is just to confirm that the needle will go through both sides of the fabric with the white thread. Here I'm using a universal 12, and in the previous video I was at a library and I'm not sure what needle it was, but I bent it because of the denim. So definitely switch to a denim needle if you're going to be working with something that's really thick, and this curtain is also a little thick, so it's just not the appropriate needle to use. And again, you see the hand basting is still there, and I'm pulling out the white thread once I'm done with it because it stayed together. And then doing the other side, I cut off the blue thread and removed the hand basting thread because I don't need it. And then I cut off some extra denim that I don't want the bulk of inside the skirt. Here I am measuring the width of the button for the button holder, and I pop it out. It slides out. Testing denim. Buttonhole on the denim section of the skirt. Buttonhole on the curtain section of the skirt. Buttonholes laid out and they haven't been cut yet. Here begins the messiest hand sewing of a single whole button in the history of the internet. So if anyone has any tips on how to do this, I think I went through probably 30 or 40 times just to make sure the buttons stayed secure. I did a neater job on the denim side and didn't go through as many times and was able to keep the button tight. I think that was in part because this piece of fabric is a lot thicker than just the curtain section itself.
going to cut the thread from the needle and then knot both pairs of remnants of thread and then cut to the end to reach the button. And then here I'm just hand sewing my personal label from Etsy into a little piece of denim that isn't completely flat to the curtain, which is great because I don't want extra thread coming through the front of the skirt. To open up the buttonhole, put pins perpendicular to the buttonhole that you created, fold over the fabric, and then cut. I wasn't able to cut through the denim, and then I cut too much into the curtain, so I'll just have to hand sew that later. Using navy thread to hand sew what I cut in the buttonhole originally. Tedious work of knotting the tails and then cutting off the end. More often than not, I was fitting this skirt with the jeans that I'm wearing, and I finally put both buttons through the buttonholes. I had to do a little MacGyvering getting the denim hole open. So you can see it's a little bit crooked, which can be fixed later with just by moving the denim button over about an inch, and I'll show you that in a second. But otherwise, it's pretty much good fit. Again, you can see that the top is a little crooked because the button could be moved over by an inch. Do a quick little spin in the corner of my office, unbuttoning it here again just so you can see how much room I have to play with right there, but I think I'm going to leave the button for now. And we'll just put a little blouse on it, a little t-shirt, whatever, in the summer. And that is my first wrap skirt from an upcycled curtain and some ripped up jeans. Bye!